G'day, Charlie Matthews here from Deutz-Fahr. We're out here today in the sunny Waikato with our 6140 TTV tractor. It's one of our 4-cylinder heavy duty tractors, so we do a 6140 and a 6130 in this range. It's 130, 140 horsepower respectively. The reason we're out here is we just wanted to go through some of the operation of a TTV transmission. Now, CVT technology is nothing new in agriculture. It's been used in professional series tractors all the way through. It's almost the norm for contractors now. But we really wanted to bring this tractor out here. Obviously being 140 horsepower, it's that perfect size for that sort of farmer's market. And we just wanted to go through some of the operating procedures on how easy it is. I mean, it's always been reserved for high-end users, and you need to be a bit of a rocket scientist to make these things sing. But really, it's completely the opposite with these tractors. So we're going to jump in today and run through the controls and do a bit of driving and just show you how really easy these things are to operate. So here in our 6140, we've got our electronic remote configuration. Now in our 6130 TPVs, this comes with mechanical remotes as standard. On the armrest here, you've got your main drive stick. So think of this like your gear stick. This is your main drive stick. So basically what you do with this stick is you set your max speed. So if I want to go 10k, 15k, 20k, whatever speed I want to do as my maximum, I set that on the stick, and then it's a matter of simply putting my foot on the throttle and the tractor will accelerate. The tractor ECU will control the engine revs itself. Meanwhile, the foot throttle will do my ground speed, so I can drive to the speed I want to do from anywhere from 0 to whatever my max speed set to on this. If I want to jump through default gears, so let's say I'm going down a tanker track at 20k and I'm pulling out on the road, holding this nice red button on the back here and give it a click forward, just like going up a gear, and that'll increase my max speed straight to 50k. So then I can head out the road and yeah, get straight into up speed without having to hold that stick forward for a few seconds. So on the joystick here, our main controls, we've got a forward reverse shuttle on here in conjunction with that button on the back. These 4 buttons here are all assignable, so we can set our cruise speeds on here, either for ground speed or engine speed. We've got a headland management sequence, so we can bring a whole bunch of functions into sequence on this button and just cycle through them through each press of that button. We've also got a hitch control nice and close to hand here, so we can lift and lower our hitch when we're working with implements such as a PDO or a rotary hoe or anything like that really. Down on the armrest here, we've got our main hand throttle, which is nice and protected by this little bar here, so you're not going to bump it. And you can save 2 engine speeds as well. So you can set that to 1600 RPM if you're operating in say 540 Eco, and save that engine speed, and that's going to hold the tractor at that speed. From there you can either drive it on the foot, or again you can set a cruise speed. So you've got 2 speeds here, so you can drive the tractor to the speed you want to do. So if it's 5k, 10k, whatever, hold one of those buttons down for a few seconds and that'll save our speed. From there it's just like in your car, take your foot off the gas and the tractor will just maintain that speed. If you need to make a minor adjustment as you're going along, you can simply pull back on the joystick to slow your speed or push forward to increase it. And you've got 2 speeds there, so if you're working with say a power harrow and you're working at 4 or 5k, you can have one cruise speed set at 5k, and then you might set your other one a bit slower or a bit faster depending on the paddock for your headland, and it's a matter of changing to that other speed. Turn your tractor around, press the button again, that'll re-engage that faster speed and you're away. Alright, so we're here in the tractor now. So if we take our hydraulic park brake off and select forward, you'll see on my dash it comes up with 10k as my max speed, so I'll pull that back to 5, and then I simply, with my foot throttle down here, start driving on the gas, and you'll hear the tractor will rev on its own as the speed increases. Now I've got my RPM set between 1000 and 2100, which basically means the tractor's deciding everything on its own. If I want to stay in the higher revs, I simply turn my dial up, and you'll hear the tractor rev up, so it won't go below 1400 where I've got it set now. And then I can turn it down as well, so if I take it right down to bring my top rev down back down to 1400, then when I put my foot flat on the gas, it won't go any faster than that. So you can manipulate the revs a bit depending on the application you're doing. If you want to stay on either lower or higher revs, you've got a few options there. So we'll turn that back to halfway. Now as I'm driving, so 5k here, so if my foot's flat on the ground, that's the fastest I'll go. Now if I simply hold my trigger on, or if I just push the stick forward on its own, you'll see my speed's going to increase, the tractor will rev up, bring me up to my desired speed. Or I can then, if I want to jump straight to 10k, a button on the back, and I just click it forward, and now my range is increased, and now I can drive from 0 to 10k on my foot throttle there. So there's a few different ways you can drive the tractor as well. If you're working in the field and you want to be doing a constant sort of speed, I can set a cruise speed using one of my cruise speed buttons down here. Now I've also duplicated that on one of my assignable buttons. So we're going to set that to we're doing about 5.8k at the moment. So if we hold down that one there, it's going to set our cruise speed. So it's set it at 5.9. Now I can take my foot off the gas and that tractor's just going to carry on at that speed. So in a field application, if I was say mowing, I'm usually mowing a little bit faster, but if I was just mowing along and I got to a wet patch and I need to slow my tractor down for a bit, I can just pull back on the joystick. It's going to slow me down, and then I can push forward again to increase my speed back up to my desired speed. Now, as I mentioned before, I can also have a second speed set. So say if we're cruising along at sort of 6 to 7k, and then I get to my headlands and I want to slow down, my second cruise speed, which is on my grey button here, is set to 5k. So I can press that, and that's going to slow me down. I can turn around on my headland, give me a bit more time, and then once I line back up, I simply hit my my purple button here, which is my number 1 cruise, and that'll take me back to my working speed. So between those two buttons, I'm adjusting my speed all the time. And in auto mode, which we're in at the moment, the tractor's going to automatically rev the engine depending on my load, my desired speed, and things like that. Now heading up this hill here, I can press my foot on the brake, and we're on a bit of an incline, and the Deutz-Fahr transmission has what's called power zero, which means I can take my foot off the brake and the tractor's going to hold on the hill. Now that wouldn't matter if I had a big trailer on the back or anything like that. The tractor will hold stationary until I push my foot on the gas. So it's almost like a hill start assist. It just holds itself either downhill or uphill, and it won't run away on me or anything like that. So you don't have to worry about using the clutch or anything to re-engage your speed. Now when you go to PDO mode, this is where the TDV transmission really comes into its own. So how it works is that it's going to keep our PTO, or our engine speed, and our ground speed completely independent. So if I come to a stop here, I'll change into our field mode, as we're only working at slow speed. So normally when you are at slow speed, you'd be in field mode. And then all I'm going to do is engage my PTO on this yellow button here. You'll see our PTO speeds come up on the dash. I can adjust my PTO droop. So at the moment it's set to 270. So if I wind that up to 100, now what that means is the tractor's always going to try and maintain its engine speed and its ground speed. If I poke my tractor up a hill, one of those has to give. So it's going to drop back no more than 100 RPM, because that's what my droop is set to. And then if it has to drop back any further than that, it's going to slow my ground speed instead, so that I still get a consistent finish out the back with my PTO work. Now that I've set my PTO running, I can simply set my hand throttle to a certain point. So say we were running at about 1600 RPM. I wind that up. I can save one of those speeds through my my engine speed presets, so I can hold that button down, and it's going to save that speed. And then I simply put the tractor in gear, and it still keeps it completely independent. So as I start to give it a little bit on the gas here, my engine speed stays the same, and the transmission and the tractor ECU come into play, and they start to work with each other so that my engine speed's maintained and my ground speed's completely independent. Now you put this in a practical application. Say you were in a paddock working with the swather. When you're going around the outside run, avoiding obstacles, trying to get nice and close to the fence to maximise your crop, you can fully adjust your speed on the go. You don't have to be up and down gears or riding clutches or anything like that. You simply adjust your speed either on the foot throttle, or again we can set our cruise speed. So with our purple button here, I can give it a double press, and that's going to take me up to my desired cruise speed. Again, get to a rough patch, pull back on the lever, it's still going to slow me down. It's not going to compromise that PTO speed, it's just going to keep that nice and consistent, and then I can push forward again to increase that ground speed. So as you can see, that's just a number of ways how the Vario transmission can work. If you're putting new drivers in them, they're incredibly simple. It's just like an automatic car. You put your tractor in gear, you set your max speed, and if you want to go faster, you give it more throttle. If you want to go slower, you slow it down. There's really nothing more to it in these transmissions. So we wind our revs off there. Now for this tractor, obviously it's a utility size, so you think about common applications you'd use for this sort of size tractor. Like you put a front end loader on this machine here, and you can straight away you can understand the advantages in terms of going into load, to load your bucket or to load bales, things like that. You can adjust the speed completely. You don't have to be up and down gears, wearing that clutch out, especially when you're loading feed-out wagons or stacking bales, things like that, where the clutch can often get a bit of a workout. The Vero transmission, it takes all of that, that operator variability out of it. When you put your foot on the gas, it engages drive. When you take your foot off the gas, drive's disengaged. So completely simplifies your operation in terms of the tractor. There's less moving parts, so the transmissions, they have good life. There's less things to wear out because there's no room for operator error. The tractor's operating exactly as it's been designed for. So yeah, there's a lot of advantages to these tractors in terms of how they drive. So if you'd like to find out more on our TTV tractors, get into your local power farming dealership and talk to one of our sales team. We've got nationwide demonstrators in this model behind me, as well as our larger stuff and also our orchard tractors. They're a real awesome tractor, and you really do have to get in them and demo them to understand how they can, how easy these things are to operate and how they'll suit your business.